Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial on Sass. We're going to be using different features of Sass in this tutorial. Okay, so basically I have some basic HTML here. There's a main container, right, whose class is container, which is the container containing all these divs. Inside that container, I have three different divs called intro section, main section, and end section. Like you can see, the intro, main, and end. And every div also has a button with it. So basically we have three divs, right, which is containing some p tag and a button. Okay, so this HTML file we are going to be using as reference to style it in using Sass. So the first thing that you might want to do is go to these extensions and type in live Sass compiler. You'll get this option here and you can basically install it, and you might want to restart your VS Code in case it doesn't reflect. Okay, so let me close this. And once you have the extension working, you'll basically see this option of watch Sass here. Okay, so the first thing, why do we need the Sass compiler in the first place? Okay, I'm going to delete this link file. Okay, so the reason why we need this watch Sass is because our browser does not understand Sass. What it understands is CSS. That means there has to be a compiler which can convert the Sass that we write into CSS, which the browser will understand. Okay, so I have a folder called styles. Inside that I have created a file called main.scss. This is the extension that we should be using. Okay, but we cannot directly link this SCSS file because the browser is not going to understand it. That means what we need to link is a CSS file, and who is going to generate the CSS file for us? That is what we are going to use the Sass compiler for. So you can go ahead and click on this watch Sass option. Okay, this is basically going to create a file called main.css. So we had .scss extension, and what this compiler did for us is it created main.css. Okay, so whatever code we write in SCSS is going to get converted to CSS, basic CSS, which we will look at later. But this CSS file is what we should be linking inside our HTML file. Okay, so let me go ahead and put the link, and inside my styles folder I'm going to link main.css. Okay, now let's go ahead and write some Sass. So now what I want to do is to my container div, right, which is the main div, inside which we have our intro section class, which is another div, right. Let's say I will give it a width of 100 pixel, okay, and also a height of 100 pixel, and let me give it a background so it's actually visible. So let me give it a background of, let's say, green yellow. Okay, so yeah, here we go. This is how that particular div looks. I want to go ahead and do this for all the other sections, right? So basically I have the main section. Let's say, let me actually increase the width because the main section might have more content, let's say. And then finally to our end section, we'll keep it the same. Okay, now we also have each of these buttons. Let's say we want to give some color to these buttons as well. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. So inside my container I have intro section, and inside that I have button. So to the button, let's say I want to give a background of orange. Okay, so now this looks orange, and I want to keep the color of the buttons consistent throughout my application. So I'm going to go and actually add background of orange to all the buttons. So to my intro section, main section, and end section, all the three buttons I want them to be orange. So the problem with this approach is that, so let's say at some point later, right, you want to change the theme of your button color to blue instead of orange. So what are you going to do? You're going to go ahead and replace every orange with blue, right? Similarly, if you want to do something for the container, right, the container background is green yellow, and you want to change it to some other color, so you'll have to replace all the three occurrences. And this is where variables in Sass are going to help us. And in order to declare a variable, you have to it should basically start with dollar. So you say dollar and the name of the variable. So let's say I'm gonna name it button primary. Okay, and let's say the color I want to use is yellow instead of orange. I want to use yellow. So now all I have to do is I'm gonna go and use the button primary color here. Okay, yeah, that's it. So now all three of them have become yellow, and let's say now we want to change it back to orange. All you have to do is change it to orange. You just need to change your variable to orange, right? And that's it. Hit save and all the occurrences will basically become orange. So we want to do the same thing also for the intro sections. Basically all the sections we want to have green yellow. So we can use a variable here as well, right? So let me go ahead and declare another variable called background. Okay, so my background variable is basically green yellow. Okay, yeah, and basically I can just go ahead and use the variable background everywhere, right? So that if I want to change it at some later point, I only need to change it in one place. So the next thing we want to learn is nesting. In case of CSS, you cannot nest any selectors, right? They have to be like in line. You cannot say that to my container and then nest it and say intro section belongs to container. So we'll actually do that using Sass so that we can understand better. So here you see that intro section belongs to container as well as main section and end section. All of them are basically nested in the DOM inside container. So we are basically repeating this dot container every time. Instead of that, what we can do is we can say that inside container, right? So you have these brackets. Inside container, you have your intro section, main section, and end section. Okay. So you're basically nesting it, and we can remove this dot container now, right? So it's basically intro section, main section, and end section. All of them are basically nested inside your container. So this looks much cleaner. Similarly, if you look at your button basically belongs to your intro section. So instead of writing it separately all the way, that container, intro section, and button, we know that it belongs to intro section. So I can just go ahead and copy this, right? So inside intro section, if we have a button, it should basically hold this color. Similarly, I'm going to do this to all the buttons, right? Yeah, now I can actually go ahead and remove this part. Now you see, because of nesting, the code has become less and it also looks very neat and clean. This basically helps you organize your SAS in a really simple way. But if you actually look at the CSS, right, if you see the CSS, you will see that it's pretty much same as what we wrote before, because this part, there's no nesting in CSS, right? This is what the browser understands. But at least in your SCSS, your SAS code, you can basically use nesting. Alright, so the next thing we want to see is how do we give pseudo classes in case of SAS. In case of normal CSS, how would we do it? We say, let's say we have a button, and when we hover on the button, we want to change the background to white. So let's test this. So yeah, it is white. But then how do we specify that it is this particular button? Either we'll have to, go all the way down, say container, intro section, and button, or you have to use something like nth child or something like that, right? So if we don't want to do that and we already have a reference of this button, what we can do is, let me actually cut this, and we can directly place this pseudo class inside our button. So we know that we want to apply it to this button. All I want to do is copy this, and you don't need to specify button here. You have to, the syntax for that will be, you have to use and. What this means is, apply the hover pseudo class to this particular button, right? So now let's test this, and yeah, it's still working. So this is pretty much how you can apply pseudo classes. You can also use other selectors like your before and after, right? So in that case, I think you have to use 2 colons, right? So yeah, this is how you can do this. This is pretty much about pseudo classes. All right, so the next thing we want to discuss is imports in case of SAS. So if you see, sometimes your CSS file, the size of your CSS file gets too large, right? And it gets really hard to maintain code. So this is where imports are going to save our life. I'm going to give you an example of, let's say you want to store intro section in a separate file, main section and end section all in different files, okay? And you basically, this is your main source, right? Your main.scss is the main source for all your CSS. So it should basically be imported in this file. So let's say I will remove main section from here, okay? And I've created another file called main section.css, and I'm going to copy it here, okay? So now the styling is gone. Why? Because we have removed it from main.scss. So now if we want to use the styling that we have put inside our main section, we actually should import it. So in order to import, the syntax is @import, okay? And then basically the name of your file. So in our case, it's main section.scss. So let me save this. Okay, I need to put a semicolon. So if I say this, you'll see the styling is back. Why? Because we have imported the main section file, and inside the main section file, we have the styling for our main section. So this is how you can pretty much use imports. You can have multiple imports, like you can also separate out your intro section and your end section into separate files and import it all into this file. So I just want to add one more thing here. It's always better that we keep these Sass variables in a different file so that our code looks cleaner and also it's easier to track it. So I'm going to actually go ahead and remove this, and I've created another file called variables.scss. So I'm going to paste it here, and now all I have to do is inside my main file, I'll have to import that file. So import, and the file name, which is basically variables.scss. Yeah, that's it. So now you can see that these colors are intact with what we gave after we imported the variables, right? Alright, so the next thing we want to learn about is mixins. Mixins are basically like functions. There might be some CSS code that you want to reuse, and that is what we use mixins for. In order to demonstrate that, I'm going to copy this main section back to our main file. So after intro section, we have our main section. Okay. So let's say there we see that some sort of code, which is our width, height, and background, is being repeated in intro section, main section, and end section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a mixin. So in order to do that, the syntax is this. You say at mixin, okay, and you need to give name of the mixin. So let's give the name section, because we are going to use it to style all the sections, okay. And after that, all we can do is write the code here. So let me say I want to give a width, height, and background of this. Okay. So now we need to tell our intro section that we are going to be picking this from this particular mixin. So in order to use this particular mixin, the syntax here is this. You need to do at and then include, okay, and then the name that we gave, which is basically section, right? And yeah, it's like a function, so you actually need to do this. Yeah, so you see the styling is now back for the intro section. So all we have to do is we need to include this everywhere. Sorry, we need to include this everywhere wherever we have repeated the code and use this, right? So basically our section is going to provide all these styles. Alright, so this is how it looks. But we have one problem, that the width of the main container was much more compared to your first and third container, right? So that means our section, the mixin section, should basically take an argument, which is the width, and whatever is passed as the width, that should be the width of the container. So instead of saying 100 pixel, I'm going to say width. So this is going to come as an argument. So inside my section, I'll have to pass this width. So let's say I'll pass 100 pixel. To the second one, we need 200 pixel, and then again 100 pixel. Sorry, 100 pixel. Okay. So yeah, now we can see that the width of the second container has increased. The main section was of higher width, and this we have achieved this with the help of arguments to mixin, which is basically like passing arguments to a normal function in JavaScript. About is inheritance in Sass. And in order to learn that, what I'm going to do is from my main section, I'm going to remove all this styling as well as from my end section. So now it's going to look very plain, just like it was before. And we're going to use inheritance to style both the sections. How inheritance works is, you say that for any particular selector, right, you say you want to inherit all the styles from another selector. So let's actually use it and see how it works. So you say at extend, right, this is the syntax, and you give name of the selector whose style you want to inherit. So in our case, main section and your end section basically looks like your intro section. So I want to extend the styles from intro section. So I'm going to say intro section. Okay. So now your main section has inherited all the styles from intro section. I want to go ahead and do the same thing in case of end section, right? So yeah, we have achieved what we wanted to achieve, but again, the second div right here, it had more width, right, compared to the first and third one. So you can also, after you do inheritance, you might want to override one or two properties, right? Or you can also override all, but that wouldn't, it basically, there's no point of using inheritance in that case. Okay, so you basically want to use all the styles of intersection, but you want to override the width. So you can say width 200 pixel, right? So this is going to increase our width. So in order to override, you should always write it after your extend rule. If you write it before, then if you write width before extend, then your extend intersection is going to override your given width. So whatever you want to override, you should put it after your extend. And yeah, this is pretty much about inheritance. So the next thing we want to learn about is how to use for loops and conditional branching in case of SAS, basically if-else conditions. Okay, so in order to understand that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment all the styling that we did so far so that we can do the same styling using for loop and basically branching conditions. Okay, so now this looks like the basic template we had, and inside my main.html I'm going to remove these classes. Okay, so we don't have the class anymore to access these divs. Instead, we'll have to access these divs. If we have to do it in basic CSS, we need to use nth child and say the first child, the second and the third child. Basically, these are first, second and third child, right, of the container. So first I'm going to go and write the basic CSS for this so that we can have a better comparison. So what I'm going to say is to my container, right, we have a div. In that, the nth child, the first child. We know that the first and the third child had the same style, so I'm going to say comma div nth child, basically the third child, right? And the styling for this is 100 pixel and this particular color that we had. However, the second child actually has a width of 200 pixel. So what I'm going to do is give styling for the second child separately and say the second child, we basically want to access the second child and give it a width of 200 pixel, right? So this pretty much looks like what we wanted to achieve, but we're going to be doing the same thing using for loop and conditional branching in case of SAS. So I'm going to comment this out, and we basically need a for loop that is going to run through 1, 2 and 3, these three values, so that we can access all the three children, right? So I'm going to say the basically syntax here goes like this. You say add for, right, and then the variable you want to use to loop through, which is I, and say it should go from 1 through 3, right? And inside this you can actually give this particular styling, right? So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Let me actually uncomment it. Okay, but instead of saying second child, we should actually be saying doing it for all the children. So I'm going to say $I. This is the variable that we are using, right? This is not going to work yet because this actually returns an unquoted string. So we need to convert this into a number, and in order to do that, you can use the hash symbol and then put it in flower brackets like this. So now this is actually going to work, and the width was 100 pixels. However, now all the three are same because we're using a for loop, right? We don't have any conditions yet. So we need to put a condition that if we are referring to the second child, the width should be more for this particular div. So what we can do for that is we can basically use the if condition. In order to use if condition, you say at if, right? And you say if the I that you are referring to is 2, so that we can access the second child. And if it is the second child, what we are going to say is width should be 200 pixel, right? So yeah, this pretty much looks like what we wanted to achieve. We have given styling separately for the second child using the if condition. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you like the video, hit the like button, and we're going to be doing more such tutorials, so hit the subscribe button as well if you find this helpful. And I'm going to be uploading short notes on the same topic on my Instagram page, and you can find the link in the description box below.